Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00. This is a very, very different video from what I'm used to making, but I feel like I need to make it. So I was tagged in a post on X, Twitter, basically about a position coming up with 343 Industries for a franchise writer. And I was tagged a lot by a lot of people suggesting that I should apply for this role. So I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts. I was relatively vague on Twitter about my reasoning behind perhaps not applying for it, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about where I'm at headspace wise on this particular point. So first things first, it's a position as a franchise writer with 343 Industries. Overall, it says that we're looking for talented new voices to join our team to build the next generation of games and experiences in Halo's beloved sci-fi universe. Are you interested in both celebrating and evolving Halo's legacy to create a new generation of stories that millions of players love? Do you closely collaborate with teams to drive inspiring, cohesive gameplay experiences? If so, the Halo team would love to speak with you about becoming our next franchise writer. 343 Industries is looking for a writer that is deeply knowledgeable about Halo lore to join the team that builds and maintains the fiction of the Halo universe. Do you know Forerunner birth names by heart? Do you remember Spartan designations easier than your own phone numbers? Do you love learning and want an involving challenge with lots of room for professional and creative growth? We're looking for a franchise writer to join the franchise development team. We are dedicated to the vision, creation, and curation of Halo's evolving story world. We empower and collaborate with a wide range of partner teams and studios on the implementation of new creative elements and are ultimately responsible for the high-level direction of the Halo universe's canon and story through characters and events experienced in a diverse range of mediums. As a Halo franchise writer, you would be an integral part of this process to help grow and expand Halo universe while keeping new products and lore faithful to existing canon. Roles at our studio are flexible and you can work from home for up to 2 days a week in this role. Microsoft's mission is to empower every person and every organisation, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so in either case, I was tagged in it a lot by a lot of people about this role and that I should apply for it. And straight off the bat, I want to say that I'm flattered that I am thought about and my work is thought about in such high regard that many would consider me a good fit for this position. Now, obviously, the first thing that jumps out at me as being a reason why I wouldn't really be very good for this particular position is because it says that although it says it's flexible working, you can work from home for up to 2 days a week. This is a full-time position. I live in the UK. So straight away we have an issue in that if I'm supposed to spend 2 days at home, that means I've got to spend 3 days at the office. Does that mean I'm flying to and from Seattle twice a week for the foreseeable future? That's already a rather large roadblock. Now again, I know that there's wiggle room with a lot of these kinds of situations anyway. The thing is, when I look at the requirements for the role, it's not even a question. I can do it because I've been doing almost exactly that, just not in an active professional capacity with the studio that create the game for the past 5 years. That's what my YouTube channel is. I write my own videos, I write my own scripts, I edit it all, I do all the voice recording, I construct stories. I've done numerous videos on numerous narrative explorations. I've got my Fireteam Ares series, which is my fan fiction kind of novelization of a completely separate and self-contained story within the Halo universe that has gained good popularity here on YouTube. I've made narrative explorations of what could have been the Infinite downloadable content for Infinite's campaign going forward. I've made narrative explorations of how the Master Chief should die. I've made narrative explorations of many of the campaigns and explored it and expanded upon it narratively. Very recently I've done a video focusing on the idea of having spin-off games, and I focused on, in the first instance on a game that focuses on Spartan June and Laconia Station and what kind of campaign could come about as a consequence of that story. So I've been doing basically what this role entails for 5 years or more. So it's not even a question as to whether or not I can do it. I'm confident I could do it, and my skill set match the requirements of the role very closely. But that's not the is-all and end-all about whether or not I would apply to such a position. So first and foremost, content creation. I'm a YouTuber, predominantly first and foremost. Now, the reality of the situation is, if I landed this role, it's a full-time position. I stepped out of full-time work in order to chase YouTube as my full-time profession. So where does YouTube then fit into this new schedule where I'm now having to work 40 hours a week with 343 Industries while simultaneously maintaining a channel, a YouTube channel? Now, the reality of the situation is I wouldn't want to abandon the YouTube platform because I'm not done with it. I'm nowhere near done with it. So that's one issue in and of itself, but there's also the fact that even if I did pursue both of them, because I did do both the YouTube game and worked full-time at the same time for quite a while in order to gain a footing in the YouTube community and to build my brand the way that I did. I was working probably for nearly 2 years, working full-time while simultaneously uploading between 3 to 5 videos a week, long-form videos a week, on my channel in the early days to try to build up a library and build up a reputation and build up an audience base. Now that involved me getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, going out, getting sorted, having breakfast, going out to work, working a full day, coming home, cooking dinner, putting my kids to bed, and then sitting down with my laptop on a dining room table and writing scripts and recording and editing videos until 2, 3, sometimes 4 in the morning, where I would then go through to my bedroom, collapse in the bed, sleep for a few hours, and then get up at 6 o'clock and repeat the process. And I did that for nearly 2 years in order to establish myself, until it was at a point where everything just lined up just nicely. I stepped out of full-time work in order to become a content creator, so I would now then be stepping back into full-time work, but I'd still want to maintain content creation. And although I managed to do it for 2 years, it wasn't healthy, and I don't think I could go back to doing that now. So the reality of the situation is then there would have to be a sacrifice. Something would have to give. And of course, I wouldn't want to sacrifice the quality of the work that I would produce for 343 Industries as a writer, but I also wouldn't want to sacrifice the quality of the content that I produce here on the channel. But one or the other of them would be affected. In worst case scenario, both would be affected, in which case I'd lose my audience base on YouTube and simultaneously probably get fired by 343 Industries for not keeping up my job responsibilities, basically setting me back to square one again. And it's completely understandable based on the position, the salary, the hours involved, and the influence that a franchise writer would have with the future of the franchise. They're going to want their pound of flesh. The 343 Industries are going to want their pound of flesh for the paycheck. And I don't think I'd be able to give it without making some serious sacrifices. On top of that, Project Mjolnir, Project ODST, these are 2 huge projects that I'm developing all the time, that I've got more people that I'm pulling in to work on it, and I'm collaborating with people, and I'm producing things all the time. The office here is an absolute, it doesn't look like it because I've zeroed the camera in, but it is an absolute freaking state. It looks like a bomb's hit it because I'm in hardware mode at the moment where I'm working on stuff. Project Mjolnir and Project ODST would grind to a halt. They would stop, which would then mean that everybody who supported the project on Patreon, everybody who supported it with the GoFundMe, everybody who's been willing this project on every step of the way, I would be basically waving goodbye to all of those. Just that I would let everybody down by just having to step away and chase a franchise position and leave Project Mjolnir and Project ODST at the sidelines. And I'm afraid it's a passion of mine. It's not just work for me. It's not just more content I can put on my channel. This is a deep-seated passion. I love producing things. I love building things with my hands. And if it's Halo-centric, if it's Halo orientated, I just double down. It's tenfold better. You've also got to bear in mind that for the past 5 years, I've been working, nearly 5 years, I've been working with this channel for more or less full time. During that time, I've been my own boss. I've been self-employed. I've got a company that I do other little bits with on the side and stuff like that. But majoritively, YouTube is the thing, and I've been my own boss for that entire amount of time. I've not had to answer to anyone. I've been able to set my own schedule. I've had the freedom to go and do things, go and pick the kids up from school, drop them off at school in the mornings. I've had the freedom to be able to do grocery shops, and I've had the freedom to just take a day off. I've had the freedom to go and have brunch or lunch with my other half. I've had the ultimate freedom. Becoming a full-time employee with a company again means I have job responsibilities that have to be met, which means that freedom that I value so highly, being able to drop my kids off at school, pick them up in the afternoon, go to brunch with my other half, enjoy the fruits and freedoms of life that I have worked so bloody hard to cultivate, all go away. And it's not to say that I wouldn't be able to juggle those responsibilities, my family commitments and my job commitments in some kind of way, but like I said, I don't want to drop the content creation, so something would be sacrificed. Either the content creation would go down the pan, or I wouldn't be able to do the things with my family as much as I could, I wouldn't have the freedoms as much as I could, or ultimately the actual job itself, the job responsibilities would be sacrificed. On top of that, I've also seen the value of being in charge of my own time and my own resources and my own money, and being in charge of just my day-to-day. I've seen the value of that, and I've cultivated that, and I've reaped the value of that for several years now. And going back to being employed means giving a lot of that up. On top of that, I've also been called disruptive on more than a few occasions. It basically boils down to, if I see that there's something that's being done wrong, or it can be done better, or there's a mistake being made, even if it's being made by management, I can't keep my mouth shut. And if I know there's a better way to do something, I will fight the corner for that better way to do something so bloody-mindedly that, generally speaking, I make an enemy of myself to management, because I see the mistakes being made. I just can't turn a blind eye. And of course, part of the creative process is coming into friction in some regard with different competing ideas. Now, if an idea is presented that I think to myself, it might be a good idea, but if an idea is presented in this kind of franchise writing scenario where I don't think that's going to go down well, or the community aren't going to like that particular story narrative that's being written and what direction that's going to go, if I then resist that and say, no, I think we're making a mistake here, this needs to be changed, of course, if you have the right management, if you have the right team dynamic, and you've got the right kind of vibe amongst the team, maybe you can win a few people over. But do I expect to do that every single time? Every single time that I think something might be going awry and that might not go down well, am I going to compete every single time and hope that I win every single time? How long is that going to last until management start thinking to themselves, look, this is becoming a problem. You can't keep your mouth shut. This idea is what we want to do, and we need you to write it, or we need you to just go ahead and do your side of the workload. My nature is to resist that. So I work better when I'm in charge, and I'm afraid there's not like a franchise lead position. There's not a narrative lead position available that I could step into and just take charge. And even if it's a lead position, you still have people above you that you still got to listen to. I find working for myself has been startlingly better at working out, broadly speaking, than working for somebody else. On top of this, the position itself says that it's flexible, but it also says that there's up to 25% travel per year. Now, I don't know if that means 25% travel, like 25% of the time in the office, because that would be at odds with what was said in the job listing of being up to 2 days a week at home, the rest of the week in the office. So I'm not sure that means 25% in the office or whatever, or whether that's just 25% of the year you're traveling. But then if that is what that means, then that means that at least up to 3 months of the year I'd be away from home. And that's fine for somebody who doesn't have kids, doesn't have a partner, and is happy to kind of live that kind of a life and chase that kind of career. But I have both. I have kids, I have a partner, and my home life is extraordinarily important to me. I also can't particularly stomach the idea of being away from my partner and my kids for 3 months of the year. Not to mention that both of my kids are neurodivergent, which presents its own problems. Basically, broadly speaking, I would love to be involved with the future of the Halo franchise. I would genuinely love to be involved. but it would have to be on my terms, and I'm afraid that's not how work works. When you get a job position come up, you can't jurisdict all of the terms. The company want their pound of flesh. The company want the value of what they're paying you. And I've got a lot of very stringent requirements that I don't think 343 Industries, or any company for that matter, no matter how flexible they are, could actually swallow and attenuate to and allow me that level of freedom. The only way that I've been able to have that level of freedom and that creative control over everything, every aspect of my creative process, is by working for myself, by doing this. That's the only way that it's worked. Every single job that I've ever had has had some degree of conflict or problem associated with it, because I've always wanted agency and control over what I do on a day-to-day basis. I've always wanted to be able to set my own hours and set my own days and work out my own schedule and have full unbridled control over everything that I do. And I can't do that under the employment of somebody else. Ultimately, I'm not ready to say goodbye to YouTube. I'm nowhere near done on YouTube. We're not even a quarter of the way into what I want to do here on YouTube in regards to not just Halo content, but wider, broader content altogether. We're nowhere near finished here. I'm also nowhere near done with Project ODST and Project Mjolnir, and there's a load of stuff that's going on that you guys don't quite know about yet. But there's a load of stuff going on around the peripherals of Project ODST and Project Mjolnir at the moment, which could see the other aspects of what I do away from the channel blowing up in a very big way. We've got some things that we've been doing behind the scenes that are extremely promising and could genuinely see some huge developments and some huge breakthroughs that I can't really talk much about at the moment. I'm also nowhere near done with some of the other peripheral projects that my company does and some of the stuff that I do, just generally speaking, on the side of the channel. And I can't reconcile the idea or the possibility of being away from my kids for huge amounts of time. And like I said, I just think the job listing itself is although I have all the skills to do it, and although it probably could be negotiated and made flexible enough to mean that I could work from the UK and occasionally go into the office in Seattle, I don't think it's likely that amount of flexibility can be brokered when 343 Industries can probably get an equally talented writer, equally intimately familiar with the Halo franchise, that's in the Seattle area and can come into the office every day. In any case, it is a fantastic position, and there's one thing that I want to say at the end of this video, where that's the reasoning behind why I don't think it's going to be the right fit. I love the idea of being involved with the Halo franchise in some degree, but I don't think it's going to work out. I will say, however, with all of this being said, that if there's something to take away from this video, it's that although I have a lot of requirements that I don't think there would be the necessary level of flexibility to achieve, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to take a shot. In all likelihood, I might apply to the position, but I'm already fully braced for the reality that I'm probably, even if I was offered it, probably going to turn it down. Because I just know that the level of flexibility that is required just wouldn't be tenable for a company and a company's ethos and their ultimate ideals and goals for an employee. Now, with all of that said, I've rambled on long enough, and I just want to say thank you to all the people that tagged me in this post and thought high enough of my content, me as an individual, to actually recommend that I apply for such a position. It's immensely flattering, and it's really reassuring to know that I'm held in such high esteem and in such high regard. That honours me deeply. And again, I think the takeaway is I'd love to be involved with the Halo franchise, but I think perhaps right now is just the wrong time. My kids are still very young. I'm still here in the UK. This position needs some degree of commitment that I can't put forward, that I can't deliver at the moment, because I'm too committed to everything else I've got going on here with you guys and with my life with my kids and with Project Mjolnir and Project ODST and with everything else going on. I'm honoured, again, that people would consider that I'd be a good fit for this and that they recommended me and they tagged me in this. I'm genuinely honoured that people think that highly of me. But yeah, that's my reasoning kind of paced out. I very briefly alluded to it on Twitter. This is kind of my full reasoning as to why I doubt that it would work out. So, yeah. Take that as you see fit. Take it easy, everyone, and find peace in the domain. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Be sure to like the video if you did, and pop a comment below on what you'd like me to cover next. I just want to take a moment to thank my patrons, Spartan10148, the Metarch of my facility, Falcon, Sylphia, Mikhail, Ashley, Jordan and Esoteric Sight, my dutiful monitors, Darian, Legion's Lost, Labrat, Spartan0137, Jacob Kemp, Sean, Element Zero, J3, Mr. Keys, Gunslinger, Evermore, Personal Devil, Aldeas, Toxic, Scion Esports, Gem Saber and Relentless, my diligent sub-monitors, my fleet of Strato Sentinels, my loyal enforcers, and all other patrons who continue to support the channel. If you want your name on the end of the video and some perks earned along the way, head over to Patreon and consider supporting the channel yourself. Big shout out to my Tier 0 Transcendent YouTube members, Spartan137, Jacob Kemp, Talia, Fenrir, Bornstella, Jimbo and Balaz, and all the other YouTube members keeping my installation running on that glorious vacuum energy, with a special mention to the Accursed Hunter. Shout out to John due to the mathematical formula used to determine the area within a pentadodecahedron. Oh, and Lena because that sandwich. And remember, there are tons of ways to support the channel and keep my installation pumping out content at a breakneck speed. Much love to you all, take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.